Hola, Bonjour, Guttentag, or however you say hello in your language, and today I'm going to give you my tips and tricks on how to build better caves in Minecraft. Now, please note that this will not be a block-by-block tutorial, but instead I'll be showing you some ideas that I have when I'm building these kinds of things. And I'm going to show you how to turn regular Minecraft caves or dugout areas into something kind of like this, and I will be going over both newer versions, which have like slab and stair variants of a lot of different blocks, and I will be showing you some 1.12.2 and earlier versions as well. So in today's tutorial video, I'm going to start with 1.12.2 and below. If you're here for like 1.14 or 1.15, then please skip ahead a little bit in the video. I have a section on that a little bit later. But for now, let's go ahead and teleport ourselves back to 1.12.2 using our fancy new time machine. I have no idea if this works, so we're gonna find out. Let's go! Are we in? Yes, we're in an earlier version. Right. Now I can show you how to make hallways and cave features in an earlier version. This is great. Really like this time machine. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into how to build caves in 1.12.2 or earlier. Alright, so here we can see that we are in an earlier version of Minecraft where there aren't as many slabs or stairs of like andesite or blocks such as those. To compensate for this, I decided to use cobblestone walls, stairs, slabs, etc. in order to give the cave some curvature and make it more natural looking. I also recommend that you guys take the time to make your caves look less like a box and more dynamic in how they're shaped. Like here you can see I am using slab stairs and shaping the wall to be the way that I want it. Now when you're shaping the wall, you kind of want to think about what kinds of features you'd like where. For example, later in this time lapse, I will be making a waterfall and water type features. Now, I would recommend that you take time to look up pictures of waterfalls and caves, or just waterfalls in general if you decide to make water features, because there are some specific qualities that make it seem more realistic, and you can transfer that into Minecraft with your building. Now because of the textures in the default texture pack in 1.12.2, I'd recommend that you use a mixture of andesite, cobblestone, and gravel blocks. This helps give it a little bit more interest and make it a tiny bit more dynamic and more interesting to look at. When shaping the walls of your cave, you want to think about where is the cave going, where has it been, and where do you want the walls to be and what do you want where. Planning is important. You want to incorporate your water features or any feature that you decide to put in here in a realistic way. So you can see here I decided to make the area around the waterfalls a tiny bit more cut out and make it look like the water has actually like eroded it away. Slabs and stairs are a great way to add variance to a floor, which you may not want to put as much detail as you would a roof. So the simple trick is to use cobblestone stairs to make some little like cracks in the floor to make it look like an actual cave. I then decided to add foliage. You don't have to do this, but I decided to make a more lively cave, so I decided to put leaves as acting as vines, and a little bit of sugarcane over on the sides. If you want to make the leaves look even more luscious, you can incorporate some vines and some string to keep them from growing. And be sure to use string, as if you're playing in survival, string is very survival friendly. You can use barrier blocks, but you don't have access to this in survival mode, so I would suggest string. Also, please note that you should not be afraid to dig out more areas in your cave or just add extra little nooks and crannies, because this helps it make it a lot more interesting and unique. And this is the result. Yeah, I kind of like it. But since we're in 1.12.2, like in that type of version, we don't really have all the variety of blocks that we do in, like, let's say 1.14 or versions I'm used to building in. And now that we've covered tips on how to build something like this, now let's go back to the future and show you guys how to build something in a later version where you have more block variety. Oh, I hope my calculations are correct. If my calculations are correct, and they are, we are back to before I did the cave tutorial. Yeah, this place used a lot of work, but let's go ahead and get into it. Alright, so building in a later version is very similar to building in an earlier version of Minecraft, except you have a little bit more opportunities with the amount of blocks you have. The same principles still apply. You want to be mindful of where your cave is going and where it has been, and any potential features you want to include in the design of your cave. Now, I'd recommend that you incorporate stairs and slabs into the walls as well as the floor, because with the different variations you are able to do that, and it makes the cobblestone a little bit less overpowered in like how you envision it. You can see I once again remove any diorite and like gravel, like any outstanding block that doesn't make sense with the color palette I'm trying to use, which is mainly gray tones. You can see here I'm going to use a water feature that is featured on a Magicraft, and I will leave a link to it here. If you are interested, we have used this trick a few times, and it basically is where you create a little waterfall coming out of a cave, and then you use the feature introduced in 1.13 where you can waterlog stairs and slabs and walls and basically create these really cool, like, water-filled cracks in the cave floor. Once again, do not be afraid to make your cave unique and create lots of little nooks and crannies with the new stairs and slabs, and just make it generally more appealing. You want to use a mixture of cobblestone, andesite, like any gray tone that combines well with the blocks that you see here that I'm commonly using. Don't be afraid to go wild with stairs and slabs. But with that being said, you probably don't want to go too crazy or it'll be just confusing. Be sure to be mindful about how you're using the stairs and slabs. Where is it drawing your eye, and what kinds of things do you want to be present and central in your build? I will commonly refer to this as a point of interest. Once again, I decided to go for a more luscious and green cave for the aesthetic's sake, and it's one of my personal favorite cave designs, so I decided to include it here. If you'd like a video on a bunch of different cave biomes, I can certainly do that. Let me know in the comments. Now, something you might want to include are the use of like pressure plates and buttons on the floors and on the walls to basically create pebbles and just the slight different height variation that your eye picks up on and makes it significantly more interesting. Don't be afraid to leave some ores and other things that you generally might mine out in this cave, it makes it so much more alive if you just leave some of the ores in there. And with a few final touches and a few extra slabs on the floor, I believe this is done. And that pretty much covers it for my tips on cave building and design. If you have any questions, be sure to leave them in the comments below. I'd be happy to answer them, and as always, leave your support is greatly appreciated. And I guess we'll see you all in the next video. Bye!